get this thing going, man, one way or another. Salute to those that's in the chat box, about to get things going. Hey, is there a crisis in the NFL? Is what we want to talk about. Is there a crisis? Now, when we're talking about wide receiver play, we talk about a gamut. I mean, array of things all together collectively. Shout out to those that's in the chat box, man. Salute. You guys know that I like to just bring in a lot of topics as it relates to wide receiver play, the whole nine. But neither here nor there. We're going to listen into this radio. But before I go, before I go into it, shout out to Odin, the first person that's in the box. Tonight too as well, we're going to go live. So I really want to see y'all faces again. We're going to have like the whole deal going. But shout out to the people that's in the chat box as we pop that thing open. Let's listen in to 105.3 The Fan as we get them going. You guys know I always like to listen to other people, objections and opinions too as well. But let's listen to them.
Here on The Fan. Yeah, Connor Orr, Monday morning quarterback. Over the past 3 drafts, the 13 first-round wide receivers have produced 1 Pro Bowler and 9 players who have never caught 40 passes in a single season. Wow, that's quite a bit of football that's been played by a lot of guys picked in the first round with big hopes from their team. So how has this happened? Connor Orr, Monday morning quarterback, did an investigation. Talked to a lot of people, used his brain and wrote some stuff. And he went to Ricky Prohl, the former NFL receiver, current assistant with the Carolina Panthers. And Prohl buys into a theory that there is a wide receiver crisis going on in college, and it can have an impact on the NFL level. Take a listen. He says,
listen up.
Twins right, scat right, fake zoom, seam 6, 7, 8, Y flat drag, right? That's a passing play. And quarterbacks out there, are probably like, oh, yeah, I followed that, no problem. You Madden players, you're like, oh, yeah, I recognize something like that. I bet I know what that is. Well, Prohl says the crop of wide receivers coming out of college now into the NFL, quote.
Hey, before they get into it more, I just want to be able to tell you guys, man, the reason why I'm saying that there's a wide receiver crisis in the NFL. I mean, we can go back and back, and all of the history we can see that, man, to win the Super Bowl, to win the biggest play, the biggest game, you don't need that number 1 receiver as far as from the first round draft pick, So I do know that a lot of people have us going with Calvin Ridley. And this is why it would be a big mistake, because not saying that Calvin Ridley don't have the skill set, not saying that he's not explosive, not saying that he will not elevate the team, not saying all that. But if you go back in history, and these guys, they kind of leaning more towards what I'm saying, not trying to say I just want to pick out something that's along the lines of what I have my opinions on. But now when your opinions become starting to be a little close to reality or factions or facts or what have you, to be a better way to say that. Now you're saying to yourself, okay, but listen to these guys. They already did the research for me, so all I got to do is hit play.
They're sitting there going, what the hell is that? 17-year NFL wideout, Panthers position coach. Currently, actually, he trains college prospects now. He just left the Panthers organization. Says they're sitting there. They heard Twins right, and are all still trying to line up. First thing they say, Twins right. Okay, I'm the Z, so I line up on the right. They didn't hear any of the other bleep because they're trying to figure out just where do I line up. So the terminology used in college as compared to the NFL, that's just your introduction into this big equation of why college star receivers are not translating to the NFL over the last 3 years. Now, you're probably in your car thinking, well, yeah, some of them got hurt. There's a Laquan Treadwell thing that was just a miss because of a projection, and this is probably just cyclical, right? And I would say, well, you're partially right, because if you go back 4 years, then you had a big NFL draft. It was Mike Evans and a couple of other guys in the draft of 20.
TCU guy that's with the Redskins, yeah. Dotson.
Yes,
Dotson.
Dotson was a couple of years back.
Okay.
But if you'd go back 4 years, then you would find a pretty good wide receiver class, the one that had Mike Evans and produced
Cooper for
yes, Amari Cooper. Aguilar was in that group.
Okay.
So, there were some decent players. So you would be right that part of it is cyclical, but there's also a bunch of other controllables. It was the Odell Beckham Jr., Brandon Cooks, Mike Evans, Sammy Watkins draft in 2014.
Okay.
My bad.
All right.
Some NFL teams are responding, actually, by focusing on wide receivers who played at schools that play a pro system. There are some NFL teams out there that are saying, yeah, we're looking at Bama, Georgia, LSU, and Florida State as coached under Jimbo Fisher, who just took the A&M job. So some teams have looked at it like, yeah, with our star wide receivers, we don't even want to fool with a lot of the schools that are out there because they're coaching their players in a way that leave them tragically unprepared and make it difficult for us to make an evaluation of what NFL things they could actually do. So what is causing this, right? And that's where Connor Orr, Monday Morning Quarterback,
Come on, tell us what's causing it.
He's got a 3-point presentation.
I already know what it is.
Number one, collegiate offenses reduce wideouts to one side of the ball with limited responsibility. Says they say, hey, you're going to be the A receiver. The A lines up on the left, the B lines up on the right, and then this receiver lines up slot right because the tight end's on the left, Prohl says. That's as much formation talk as a lot of them are getting. The receiver is often, then, you take it another step further, in his own world. He splits out and then checks with his coordinator or position coach who reads the coverages for him and then directs the receiver to one of a few routes that correlate. They don't worry about motion. They don't worry about snap count. They don't hear anything else, and the coach holds the board up, and they know I got one of 5 plays where I'm running a go, post, slant, or comeback. That's all they're running. If he's off, I'm running a hitch. Man, I'm running a go. So that's, number one, just schematically and pre-snap, there is a huge adjustment to make where you basically have to learn that part of football. You're drafted.
So you're basically saying these wide receivers are not coached up. They don't know anything.
No, they don't know how to
Yo, they dropping some seed in this thing, man, and that's seed for knowledge. The thing is, we know that college have a smaller array of games to play, and they have a very condensed scheduling as it relates to you got to be able to, to do classwork and things like that. Some would say that, a lot of college players are getting pushed up beyond their grade level because of the sport that they play. But neither here nor there. Yeah, this G-Bag Nation, DOM. The thing is, when you're talking about wide receiving core and you're talking about college, they do condense. And that's why they say they go in with the bigger programs that they know that the coach actually played in the actual NFL or coached the NFL. That's why they kind of look or lean towards those guys that's in the pros or that's going to the pros, what have you, opposed to a guy from probably a smaller school. And I'm not saying that the Jerry Rices of the world from Mississippi Valley, shout out to them. And even running back Walter Payton from JSU, Jackson State University. Not saying that these guys are overlooked, guys from smaller schools, but it's different eras now. Smaller schools now get kicked over and looked upon as, why you didn't make it to the bigger projects or bigger collegiate projects like the bigger schools, the big, the SEC schools that's out there just in the mix, like the Alabamas of the world. And I'm not even trying to say that a kid from a smaller school is not able to play on this next level, because it's blasphemy for me to say that. But what I'm saying is that a lot of times when you're talking about drafting a wide receiver within the first round, the propensity, the chances of that player just being like just the next level is very, very slim. But if you want to win in the National Football League, it's all about defense. And we can lean on, Randy Moss from a smaller school too. Yes, we can say that. But the last time Randy Moss was drafted was how many years ago? That's a long time ago. But I feel what you're saying, Italian Cowboy. And I'm going to say again, I'm not putting down the small school. I graduated from a small school. I graduated from the SWAC. So everybody know that I put the SWAC on my back. Hey, we known for the Sonic Boom of the South. There's no band greater than the Sonic Boom of the South. Just Google Sonic Boom of the South and you know what I'm talking about. But neither here nor there. And I'm talking about no band on this green earth. But the thing is, what I'm saying is that when you're talking about wide receiver play, has it diminished over a course of years? Yes. What I'm saying is now it's just like the running back. Somebody can argue and say it's been a long spell between drafting a running back in the first round. I think Gurley was one of the first that's drafted in the first round in a long time. But you still, Gurley have yet to win a Super Bowl, right? It still is third or fourth year. And Zeke, Elliott, the guy that's on our team now, but the running back average life in the NFL is 3 to 4 years. Now, you don't want to gamble with that pick with the first round because you got a 5-year window with the first pick. You got that extra pick that you can put into the mix. So what I'm saying is with the wide receiving play, we know that it's watered down, just like the quarterback play that don't play under center, just like the quarterback that plays in pretty much a spread offense. It's one of those things, like one can argue and say, okay, all right, we have Dak Prescott, who's from a spread offense. With Dan Mullen, his actual, I guess, head coach, will he be a better coach in the NFL if he had a chance to coach Dak Prescott in this particular system? I would argue and say yes, because he already groomed Dak Prescott for 4 to 5 years. And it's one of those things too as well. When you have that ability to actually know the system and know what a player's strength and weakness are, then you can elevate that player's game because you're not trying to force this player to play under center. Now what you're saying, okay, I know what my quarterback is good for, and that trickles down. You water down the playbook for the quarterback, and everybody else is affected. It's been so, to put this in other terms, fullbacks in the National Football League are just pretty much extinct. They're pretty much gone. A true tight end in the NFL is pretty much gone too as well, because you don't really have the tight ends that's playing like the tight ends of old. And I think that we looking at pretty much Jason Garrett, the guy that played for the Panthers. I forgot his name. He's at the tip of my tongue. These are pretty much the last leg. And then one can say Gronk, but Gronk line up into the slot much more than he does any tight end play. I rarely see Gronk blocking down the field but he can do it. Of course, he got the physical power to block down the field. But we are seeing less and less and less and less of tight end plays. We're seeing less and less and less of finesse type of wide receivers, and we're seeing less and less and less of type of quarterbacks that can come out and just say, okay, he can make every play out there. And then, of course, you have your few. And one can argue and say, without the right coaching, even a Carson Wentz will look like Carson Wentz from last year. But I'm going to let these guys continue to talk about the breakdown of the wide receiving crisis. That's just my little thoughts on that.
Process anything by themselves.
Right.
They don't know how to read defenses. They don't know how to take a play from the huddle and then adjust at the line of scrimmage themselves. They just have a coach that's sitting there telling them what route to run after they've lined up.
Okay.
Number 2, coaches are starting to teach routes differently and perhaps less effectively. Take one of the most basic components of the NFL route tree, the curl. For years, the receiver was taught to run 12 yards, plant hard, and work back to the QB at a 45-degree angle. This allows the QB to throw a split second early, like when the receiver digs his heel into turn. Now receivers are coming out of school running the curl as a continuous semicircle, which creates a myriad of problems at the next level. When you're running a semicircle, says Prohl, you're keeping your arms moving and chopping. Some coaches think it's great because you're playing fast. You're not stopping. But a guy running a semicircle, if I'm running it and a guy like Kelvin Benjamin is running it, our circles are going to be different. The quarterback has to wait for you to come out and square your shoulders. That takes more time. That extra time means a defensive back has a window to undercut the route. When you come to him, plant your foot in the ground, come back at an angle, you're boxing him out, he's behind you. You create and maintain separation with your angle coming back to the quarterback that you wouldn't with a semicircle. So, in college, it doesn't matter. We can semicircle this baby up. Most of the DBs you're going to play are trash, and they're not going to make it to the next level. Plus, you're really good and fast. You're going to the NFL. You're going to be a first-round pick, so you have an athletic advantage that is not taken advantage of by collegiate corners. Right at the end, can't even run a comeback, a 45-degree curl route. Boom, turn, come back. College coaches are like, nah, just go ahead and trot that thing out and we'll get around to it. Where in the NFL, the margins and the times you have to make a decision are so split, and you have to throw the ball before the DB knows it's coming.
Exactly.
Right?
All NFL defenses are faster than any college defenses, and they have defensive players that are great across the board. Not just, we got 1 or 2 All-Americans. No, every NFL starter on defense is great.
Then the third reason he says collegiate wide receivers, we have a crisis going on. An NFL team should take note. This is again in the Monday Morning Quarterback. Prohl says some receivers are now taught to catch the ball with their fingertips, or at least enamored by the prospects of it, the silent whoosh, the aesthetic of it. The problem with that is there's little strength in those muscles, which could cause a batted pass from a defender or an outright.
Let me speak on this too as well. Another thing too as well. Everybody's seen, and I don't know whether or not you guys watch other sports than football, but let's just take a look at Steph Curry, right? Everybody clamored about the three. I mean, there's no defense played no more. You see the Ball brothers, I think the younger kid, he just pulled up at the half-court line. He just walked down there and pull up at the half-court line. Don't play no defense, don't guard, don't know what 2-for-1 is, don't know how to play the zone. And this is just basketball. We see kids now just get out there, and all they want to do is glorify what Steph Curry or the Curry. They say three, and there's nobody getting down on defense. And the same thing happened in the NFL. When Odell Beckham Jr. made that sick catch, everybody loved the fact that he made the catch. But they didn't see the push-off. They didn't see the actual fact that they lost that game. They didn't look at all of the other aspects of that particular play. They just glorified the spectacular catch. You take that spectacular catch and you take what Steph Curry has done for the NBA, it's pretty much mirroring the same thing. People are so infatuated or entrenched or fallen in love with the spectacular play. And that's what a wide receiver going to do. He's going to sell you tickets. To me personally, nobody, and I'm talking about nobody, if you draft a Cortland Sutton with the 19th pick, or a quote unquote Calvin Ridley, the storyline is going to be there. The possibility of what we're going to do with Daz, all that comes into a mix because everybody's trying to find headlines. And that's the problem with the NFL. That's the problem also with the NBA. What they doing now? Who's going to be the next Steph Curry? Or such and such have a better jump shot than Steph Curry by stats and stuff like that. And that is tarnishing. That has ruined the NBA, and that has also ruined the NFL because everybody looking for that next Odell Beckham Jr. catch. Everybody looking for the next Steph Curry shot. But that's all I have to say on that. But we're going to listen back to these guys some more. Hey, Noah Brown is a baby TO too as well. But hey, with the Cortland Sutton, just think about the storyline. If the Cowboys draft him with the 19th overall pick, I guarantee you with everything that I have in my pocket, they don't care what this kid wants as a number as he desire. They're going to slap 81 on him, and they're going to say the reemergence, the new TO, and all this stuff. And we heard the same thing with Dez Bryant. Everybody kind of looked at Dez Bryant like the second coming of Michael Irvin. Two different guys, just the same people that don't watch a lot of films. And I'm not trying to subtly denigrate those who do and those who don't. But Michael Irvin across the middle, a lot of people hate T. Will, but guess what? Michael Irvin was one hell of a body catcher, but he knew when to catch the ball with his body and not to. And Michael Irvin was a different driven type of guy than a Desmond Bryant. Two different caliber of people, two different temperaments out there on the field. Now, one can say, well, hey, Dez Bryant didn't have Troy Aikman passing him the ball. He had Tony Romes, and Tony Romes, blase. And I know the argument, somebody would say Troy Aikman is worse of a player than, or Tony Romo is better, pretty much. Tony Romo, I heard this argument thousands of times echo through the Cowboys nation that Tony Romo is a better, and I mean a better passer of the ball than Troy Aikman. Troy Aikman probably would admit it himself. But one thing you can't take account for, Troy Aikman was a leader. And I'm not saying that Tony Romo wasn't. But we saw the young Tony Romo that couldn't lead T.O. out of a locker room. We saw the young Tony Romo had to fight and get and earn his respect out there. Troy Aikman was a first-round draft pick, as a quarterback. He knew that he had to put his mind out there and elevate the team collectively. And everybody always say that the triplets were everything, but Jimmy Johnson, he knew how to always have that pressure on Troy at the right time, at the right moments. And I'm telling you guys right now, as of any day in my life, if Bill Parcells would have had more and more time with Tony, who knows what would have happened. But neither here nor there. Let's jump back on this wide receiver tough stuff.
Drop. Prohl, who now works with agencies like Powerhouse Rep 1 Sports to prepare their draft-eligible wideouts and maintains a stable of NFL clients at his training facility in North Carolina, prefers an attacking method. Try and hold the ball with your fingertips and see how easy it is to strip out of your hand. Put your whole surface of your palm and your fingers on the ball. That's how you catch a ball, every part of your hand. The more your hand you have on the ball, the more you have to maintain an attack from a DB when he tries to strip it. And then one final thing from Prohl before we kick it around here, because I bet there are some legit questions here. The writer says, I asked Prohl if before he left the Panthers after the 2016 season, there was a sense among NFL scouts and coaches that receivers were diminishing in value, at least enough to invest serious draft capital. His answer, we heard that more with running backs at the time, that they're a dime a dozen, that you don't take them in the first round. When I was coaching, there were classes with Julio Jones and A.J. Green and Odell Beckham Jr. That never came up before, but I have heard that this year. The receivers coming out just didn't impress at the combine, no true route runners, and there may not be a whole lot going on in the first round. So this year, running back comparisons are being made to the wide receiver class. What do you think, Mike?
I think this is really interesting because as even Jeff is really like this running back class is the game of college football. If I just go back to Michael Irvin, I mean, they probably passed the ball 17 times in a game at Miami back then. And he'd have his hand on the ground. As a wide receiver, he'd put his hand on the ground to start off the route. I mean, that was college football when I was a kid watching it. And it was run, pass, run, pass, run, pass. You're like, man, passing the ball, like, oh my God, he's dropping back to pass. This is going to be crazy. And now it's crazy when they actually just hand the ball off. It's crazy if a quarterback ever even gets under center in college football to actually take a snap. So these guys are getting a lot more reps, a lot more chances to catch the football. So I would think the third thing is they would be better at catching a football because they're getting more chances in high school and college to actually catch the football and learn the ways that they feel comfortable in catching the football, securing the ball, running with the ball. Because back in the day, guys didn't have opportunities to actually catch the football 6 or 7 times in a game, and now they do. The route running thing into making it basic in college, I don't know what NFL teams do with this because here's the deal. And I said this, and Jesse Hawley, hopefully this is on record, he told me that the Cowboys don't like this. They kind of don't care for guys to go get their own coaches. Our guys can't coach them. There's no contact in wide receiver. The whole thing of we want less practice, I get it from the offensive line, defensive line, linebacker standpoint. But wide receivers are getting zero contact in football anyways, as in practice time. But when you take away, okay, fine, we get a guy who runs a curl route bad. We'll just work our butts off and practice with them, and we'll get the extra time. But you're not allowed to have the extra time because the Players Association took that away. You do need what Des Bryant is doing. You do need what Antonio Brown is doing. You need your own coach in the offseason. And if the Cowboys have a guy that they love that is not hired by them, but they know Jesse Hawley well, and you can send all your guys to Jesse Hawley because he understands what Jason Garrett wants from his wide receiver, but that's kind of getting shut down.
That's what I love about you, Mike, because you're such a Cowboys fan. When we do a story like this, you always come up with the angle, how do the Cowboys make sure this doesn't bite them in the ass?
Yeah.
And what you're saying is collegiate players don't know what the hell they're doing a lot of times.
Yeah.
And they all should have individual coaches from the time they get drafted.
Yes.
Because a team that either doesn't want them to or they don't have the time that they can work with them according to the rules.
And the Cowboys should find that guy that's awesome.
Yeah.
That's awesome at this, that's not hired by them and not hire him. That's fine. Keep your wide receiver coach that you have. I'm not saying that, but every team, the Cowboys should have a guy that when they draft, if they draft Calvin Ridley or DJ Moore or whoever they draft, they say, all right, here's the deal. You're going to get paid millions of dollars by us. We love you. We can't coach you as much as we want because there's restrictions on this. But here's our coach. And I'm just going to give Jesse Hawley as an example.
Hey, man, that dude dropped a dime on everybody, man. That's pretty good, man. That's good knowledge, man. I didn't think about it that way. That would be, man, can you think about this? If Desmond Bryant was working with D-Rob since he started out in the NFL, man, don't you know how polished of a receiver he would be? I mean, not saying that he's not, now, because I do know that the Dez Bryant's apologist is not a Dez Bryant talk conversation, because you guys, I got a special place for you guys in my heart. But it's one of those things where if you know how far Dez Bryant and D-Rob stay close close together in the same city, in the same state, all this stuff, you will be shocked and amazed too as well. But and then you got the Antonio Browns of the world, and you have the other elite wide receivers flying down to Texas to get their one-on-one workout like Emmanuel Sanders, those who D-Rob and help elevate the game. Not saying that I want Jesse Hollis to help out these smaller or pretty much rookie receivers to come out, but he's using Jesse Holly. I said Jesse Riley. He's using Jesse Holly as an example. But we got to get better across the board, across the NFL collectively, when you're talking about this collective bargain. Because now with the collective bargain agreement, with them having less practice out there on the field of play, we're seeing this trickle down throughout the entire NFL. We're seeing sloppy offensive line play. We're seeing sloppy linebacking play. We're seeing sloppy wide receiver as a route running collective unit. We're seeing sloppy play from the quarterback. But also, with that being said, we're seeing the NFL coddling the receivers, coddling the offense out there, because now that you pretty much anybody that's in the chat box can take a route and run it to the inside. And the name of the game is now they will allow you to catch the ball and become a runner before the safety can lay a hat on you. Back in the days, in the olden times, you couldn't run across that middle when you got a big safety that's finna level you out like a running lot. You're going to say, look, coach, I'm not finna do this. I'm not finna run this route. I'll run a skinny post to the side. I'll run a fade, maybe a dig or comeback, but I'm not finna run this shallow cross across the middle when you got running lot there. But that's how the NFL have changed so much. Shout out to I Am Infinity. Good video, Law Nation. Let's go, Cowboys. Yeah, man, let's go. Let's go. Thank you for the donation to help grow the nation, man. I appreciate that, man. Much love to you and your entire family. Appreciate the love. Let me see if I can go ahead and plug this in right here to finish this video.
Because he does do it for a living. Mm-hmm. You're going to go to Jesse Hawley. We can't pay Jesse Hawley. It's against the rules. You're going to pay Jesse Hawley, but you're going to understand exactly how we want routes run. You're going to understand everything through Jesse Hawley, because he played for the Cowboys. He played under Jason Garrett, and you're going to learn all this. And then when you come to us for the start of training camp, you're going to be right there with where our veteran guys are, because you got all the extra practice time that you needed to be ready for this situation. Man, instead of complaining. Yeah. Because look, if this is the way it is, it's the way it is. Now, how are you going to adjust as an organization to this?
Well, apparently Dez's guy that he's working with right now is the guy that is he's like the guru for wide receiver route coaches.
Yes.
Yeah. This individual guy he's using right now, I can't remember his name.
I think it's David Robinson.
It is David Robinson.
Yeah.
He's the guy. He came and started working with Antonio Brown with the Steelers after his injury.
Yeah, and now he's worked with Emmanuel Sanders. He's worked with a lot of great players.
He's the guy.
And he should meet with Jason Garrett. They should have a 2-hour meeting if Dez Bryant is even part of this organization. That's another thing. But if Dez Bryant is going there and you want him, he should sit down with Jason Garrett for 2 hours and say, what do you like and dislike about Jason Garrett? I mean, what do you about Dez Bryant? And Jason Garrett has to answer all of these questions from this guy, because he is now his real coach, because we've eliminated the practice time. And I'm going to get him to be exactly what you want, Coach Garrett. But you have to tell me everything that he needs to work on from your perspective. And I will tell you after I work with him, I'll give you updates on where I'm at. And also updates on if I believe you're right or wrong on this, because I also am pretty freaking smart at this too, because people are paying me a lot of money at this.
Well, you're talking about players taking more ownership of their development. I think it's easy for young players in any sport to think I'm a hard worker because I show up on time and work hard when I'm at the practice facility. But the guys that really work hard are the ones that take it home with them and are, going Tom Brady or whatever. And it's difficult to really get a good sense of it. But I think NFL teams would be very wise to do what you're talking about.
Yeah.
I did also wonder, as we were reading that article, if you wanted to shoot holes in it, does Ricky Prohl have a vested interest in painting this picture. Absolutely.
True.
He's,
Yes.
he's got his own academy in North Carolina where he's working with
his
guys.
agenda. Mm-hmm.
That's not difficult to see that potential, dog in the fight for him. And then the other thing is, maybe there's some overreaction because of the recency bias. That's a very popular term right now. Things have gone wrong recently. So does that mean there's a systemic issue, or have we just had bad luck?
And a lot of us forget how green we were when we entered that major league or NFL place, and then how much we understood and learned years into it. And then you're called a veteran because you understand a lot of it. But, can Ricky Prohl take himself back to being a guy who'd never played a down of pro football? And how much did he truly understand what he needed to do for the quarterback to totally trust him? And really, how many years did it take for that trust and everything to happen? And, the other thing too, which has happened, and this has been a long time now, is the 5 years that the Cowboys have had with the same wide receiver core, it's still not with the same quarterback. You used to develop better relationships. Now you don't.
Yeah, don't let them run off with that. But that's good to be objective toward the end, like what kind of insight the article or the guy Ricky Prohl have, and he have his own training camp and wide receiving camp and all this stuff. So everybody have a way of kind of twisting the narrative to sell their own product or to sell their philosophy. But collectively, when we say collectively, we talking about a massive thing. Is the wide receiving crisis in the NFL? Yes, but it's not just germane to wide receiver. You have to look it up and see that I hear that people mention poor tackling. The CBA, the agreement, it's just not like it used to be. I remember us getting mad at what's the guy, David Irving, for our team. For not coming back on the field because he had the concussion, and we do know that CTE is a major thing. But when I was playing, back in the days, or when all of you guys was playing back in the days too as well, they say, hey, put a little smelling salt on your nose, shake that off, and get back out there on the field. Shake that off, But that's just not going to happen anymore. They got rules and regulations that they have to apply by or abide by, unless you're the Patriots, had to throw a little dig at the Patriots. But neither here nor there. I want to know you guys' thoughts. I want to know you guys' opinions on this matter. Just let me know either now or down below once the video has been posted. We will try to go live again tonight at 9 o'clock Central Standard Time. I would like to see y'all lovely faces there. We're going to talk to real. It's going to be me, Okoye, Big Game James, Foots the King. Who else we have in the house? We're going to have Vash Lombardi. We're going to have a mega, I'm talking about a big round table tonight. And I want to see you guys there and bring in some facts. I want you guys to bring in facts, stats. And I'm not a stats muncher, but I want you guys to figure out the stats that you love and bring out those things too as well. Let me shout out to everybody that's in the chat box before I go to as well. Vampire Prince, shout out to you. Rody Sim, I think that's how you say your name, Rody. Shout out to you, Mr. 30442, aka. Shout out to you, Italian Cowboy, my brother from another mother. Shout out to you, Trey Harris, Vern B, Maxwell. Shout out to you, Lucilla, the basketball bat. Hey, baseball bat. My bad, I can't read today. I am Infinity. Thank you too as well, man. Thank you for following the channel, things of that ilk too as well. Boomer Soomer, shout out to you. D-Rob, he played at your school. If from Oklahoma. Renegade Kanya. Dumb Mo, man, Dio, shout out to you. That's all the time I have for today. I really thank you guys for yours. And remember, you're listening to nothing but the best. Salute. I'm out. Let me play some little background music. Let's get this thing going. I can't just leave like this, right? Where that music at? Pop it up, baby. Yeah, there you go. Play me something. Yeah. I'll let that music play out. You guys know how it goes.